They're everywhere. At work, in your family, maybe even in your closest circle of friends. The manipulators, the energy vampires, the ones who thrive on chaos and drama. You know the type. The boss who belittles you in front of others just to feel powerful. The friend who only calls when they need something. The partner who plays mind games, making you feel like the problem when they're the one destroying everything. The world is full of toxic people, and if you don't learn how to deal with them, they will drain you, control you, and ruin your life. This video isn't about avoiding them, because that's not always possible. It's about how to deal with them, how to neutralize their poison, and how to make sure they never control you again. By the end of this, you will know exactly how to break free from toxic people without losing your mind, your peace, or your power. This is Real Stoics. If you want to build an unbreakable mind and dominate life, subscribe now. And let's us begin. Part 1. Recognizing toxic people. The hidden signs. Most toxic people don't come with a warning label. They don't announce their intentions. They disguise themselves as friends, mentors, even lovers. And by the time you realize what they are, they've already done the damage. Here's how you spot them before they ruin your life. 1. They never take responsibility. Everything is always someone else's fault. They blame, they deflect, and if you ever call them out, they'll make you feel like the villain. 2. They drain your energy. After spending time with them, you feel exhausted, anxious, or doubting yourself. They feed off your emotions like parasites. 3. They manipulate through guilt. Toxic people love making you feel like you owe them something. They twist situations to make themselves the victim, so you feel bad for setting boundaries. 4. They create chaos. These people don't want peace. They thrive on drama, keeping you off balance so they can control you. Think about it. Who in your life fits this pattern? A coworker? A friend who's always making you feel guilty? A partner who keeps gaslighting you? Step 1 is recognition. Because once you see them for what they are, you take away their biggest weapon: deception. Toxic people succeed because they know something most people don't. You don't need to be right to win. You just need to manipulate the rules of the game. They understand human psychology. They know how to push buttons, how to make you second-guess yourself, and how to keep you emotionally hooked. And the worst part? They win because you allow them to. Here's why. 1. You avoid conflict. Most people hate confrontation, and toxic people use that against you. They create situations where standing up for yourself feels worse than just letting it slide. 2. You want to believe in them. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe it's someone you love. You tell yourself, they'll change. They won't. They count on your hope to keep control over you. 3. They make you feel guilty. If you set a boundary, they'll flip the script. After everything I've done for you, you're being so selfish. They make you doubt yourself, and in that moment of hesitation, they win. 4. They mix good with bad. Toxic people aren't awful all the time. Sometimes they're charming, funny, or even caring. Just enough to make you question if they're really the problem. This is intentional. It's called intermittent reinforcement, and it's the same technique used in gambling. Unpredictability keeps you hooked. If you recognize yourself in any of this, understand something. This is not an accident. You are being manipulated. Toxic people don't have real power. Their only power comes from your inability to see through their games. Now that you do, the question is, what are you going to do about it? Part 3. The one rule that shuts down toxic people. Instantly, toxic people only have power when you engage with them. They feed off your emotions, your reactions, and your willingness to play their games. But there's a way to shut them down instantly. It's called the gray rock method. This method is simple. You become as dull, unresponsive, and uninteresting as a gray rock. Here's how it works. 1. No emotional reactions. When they try to provoke you, don't take the bait. No arguing, no justifying, no defending yourself. Just keep your responses neutral and boring. 2. Short, generic replies. They ask how your day was. You say, it was fine. They try to stir up drama. You say, okay. No details, no energy, no fuel for their manipulation. 3. Don't explain yourself. Toxic people love getting you to justify your actions so they can twist your words. Instead, keep it simple. If they push for an explanation, repeat your answer and move on. 5. Limit interactions. If you have to deal with them, at work, in your family, keep it brief and professional. The less time you spend with them, the less power they have. At first, they'll push harder. They'll try to provoke you, escalate the situation, or guilt trip you. But if you stay firm, something incredible happens. They get bored. Toxic people need drama to survive. If you refuse to give them any, they'll eventually move on to someone else who will. Most people waste years trying to reason with toxic people, trying to fix them, trying to win arguments that were designed to be unwinnable. But not you. Now you know the truth. The only way to win their game is to refuse to play. Part 4. Setting boundaries that toxic people can't break. Most people think setting boundaries means just saying no. But if that were enough, toxic people wouldn't exist. A real boundary is not just a statement, it's an action. It's a line that, when crossed, has consequences. And the reason most people fail at this, they don't enforce consequences. Toxic people test boundaries the way burglars test locks. If they find a weakness, they'll keep pushing. If you say, "Stop treating me like this," and they ignore you, and you do nothing, they win. So here's how you set a boundary they can't break. 1. Be direct. Don't hint. Don't hope they get the message. Toxic people thrive on ambiguity. Instead, say, "If you continue to do X, I will do Y." 2. Follow through. If they test your boundary, enforce the consequence immediately. No warnings, no negotiations. If you don't, they'll see your boundary as meaningless. 3. Remove their leverage. They'll try to manipulate you with guilt, threats, or playing the victim. Expect this. See it for what it is, a desperate attempt to maintain control. 4. Be prepared for backlash. Toxic people hate boundaries. When you set one, they'll escalate. Insults, gaslighting, even playing the nice card to lure you back. Stay firm. The storm will pass. Think about it. The reason they've been able to manipulate you in the past is that they knew you wouldn't enforce your boundaries. But once they see you mean it, they lose control over you. And when that happens, one of two things will occur. They'll respect your boundary and adjust their behavior, rare but possible. They'll leave your life because they can't control you anymore, far more likely. Either way, you win. Part 5. Cutting off toxic people. Why it's not cruel. It's necessary. A lot of people struggle with the idea of cutting toxic people out of their lives. They think it's selfish, cold-hearted, or even cruel, especially if it's a family member, a longtime friend, or a partner. But here's the truth. Keeping toxic people in your life is what's cruel. It's cruel to yourself because it keeps you in a cycle of emotional exhaustion, self-doubt, and stress. It's cruel to the people who actually love and support you because they have to watch you suffer. It's even cruel to the toxic person because by tolerating their behavior, you enable it. Toxic people will try to convince you that you owe them your time, your forgiveness, your second chances. But ask yourself, what do they owe you? Do they owe you respect, loyalty, basic human decency? Or are they only concerned about what they can take from you? The harsh reality is this: toxic people do not change unless they are forced to. And sometimes, the only way to force them to change is to cut them off completely. Here's when you know it's time. 1. They refuse to respect your boundaries. You've made yourself clear. They ignore it. That's not an accident. That's a choice. 2. They keep dragging you into the same toxic cycles. You forgive them. They promise to change, and then they do the same thing again. 3. Your life is worse because they're in it. You feel drained, anxious, or like you have to walk on eggshells around them. Some people will say, but what if they're family? Here's a hard truth. Toxic family members can do more damage than strangers ever could. Being related to someone doesn't give them the right to disrespect or manipulate you. If someone is hurting you, no matter who they are, you have the right to walk away. And if they try to make you feel guilty, remember this: they're not upset because they miss you. They're upset because they lost control over you. Part 6. Rebuilding your life after cutting off toxic people. The moment you remove toxic people from your life, something strange happens. At first, you feel relief, the weight lifted off your shoulders. But then, doubt creeps in. Did I make the right choice? Was I too harsh? What if they were right about me? This is the final trick of toxic people. They don't need to be in your life to control you. They just need to be in your head. But that ends now. Here's how you take back your life fully and ensure you never fall into their trap again. 1. Detox your mind. Toxic people spend years planting doubt, fear, and guilt in your head. Recognize their voice in your thoughts and replace it with your own. 2. Fill the space they left behind. A big reason people relapse into toxic relationships is because they don't replace them with better ones. Seek out people who uplift you, who challenge you in a positive way, and who respect you. 3. Strengthen your boundaries. Toxic people might try to creep back into your life through apologies, promises, or manipulation. Remember why you left. Don't reopen a door you fought so hard to close. 4. Forgive. But don't forget, forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. Holding on to anger only keeps you tied to them. Let it go, but never let them back in. Here's the ultimate test. If someone's presence in your life brings more stress than peace, they don't deserve access to you. It's that simple. You owe nothing to those who drained you, manipulated you, and made you question your own worth. You only owe yourself the peace you were always meant to have. Part 7. Never become the toxic person. Yourself. It's easy to point fingers at toxic people. It's much harder to ask yourself, what if I have toxic traits too? Because here's the truth. We all do. Every single one of us has, at some point, manipulated, lied, played the victim, or hurt someone we cared about. Maybe not intentionally, maybe not to the same extreme, but it's happened. And if you want to truly break free from the cycle of toxicity, you can't just remove toxic people. You have to make sure you never become one. Here's how. 1. Own your mistakes. Toxic people never take responsibility. They shift blame, make excuses, and rewrite history. Don't be like them. When you mess up, admit it. Apologize, fix it. 2. Control your emotions. Don't let them control you. Toxic people are ruled by their emotions. They lash out, manipulate, or shut down when things don't go their way. Master yourself, and you master life. 3. Don't let pain turn you into the villain. If you've been hurt by toxic people, it's tempting to become cold, ruthless, or manipulative as a defense mechanism. Don't. Healing doesn't mean becoming like them. It means rising above them. 4. Respect other people's boundaries. Just like you expect others to respect yours, you need to respect theirs. No means no. Silence means no. Distance means no. Don't be the person who ignores that. 5. Surround yourself with people who call you out. The strongest people are those who have friends willing to say, "Hey, you were wrong." If you only surround yourself with people who agree with you, you're setting yourself up for failure. At the end of the day, the goal isn't just to escape toxic people. It's to become the kind of person who never spreads toxicity to others. Because if you remove toxic people, but never work on yourself, you're just creating space for a new kind of toxicity to grow. And that's not what we're about. Outro. Take control and never look back. If you made it this far, you already know the truth. Toxic people thrive on weakness. But the moment you take control of your mind, your emotions, and your boundaries, they lose all power. This isn't about revenge. It's not about winning. It's about finally living life on your terms. The only question left is, are you ready? If you are, then it's time to step forward. Without guilt, without fear, and without looking back. And remember, real Stoics don't break. They rise. Subscribe to Real Stoics for more.